Bitcoin represents a new monetary base. What we have is a digital scarcity. And the idea is 100 years ago, we thought gold should be the basis, and then it became fiat should be the basis. And now if we can create digital scarcity as the basis, or what we might say is a perfect ledger, and if we had a fair, equitable, immutable ledger or a proper ledger, a ledger that didn't lose 10% or more of its energy a year, but rather it was conservative. Mm-hmm. In that case, the goal becomes to shift the entire civilization from an imperfect foundation that's losing. It doesn't really matter whether it's 10% or 20% or 7%. All of those numbers, even 2% is too much. Right? If the civilization is sitting on a foundation where 2 or 3 or 5 or 20% of the energy is lapsing out the bottom of it every year into the ether, right? Then you've got a suboptimal situation. And when the number gets to be 20 or 30%, you approach economic collapse.
Hello and welcome to Wealthy Value. In today's video, Bitcoin evangelist and chairman of software company MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor updates about his thoughts on the Bitcoin energy FUD and why Bitcoin is the best ECG incentive in the world right now. Saylor also addresses why it is so hard for people to understand the concept of Bitcoin mining and how Bitcoin is actually solving problems compared to every other crypto asset. Make sure to stick around till the end of this video, where Michael Saylor explains the upcoming collapse of the financial markets and why no one is safe with fiat currency and the central banking system. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the post notifications. Let's dive right into the video.
The creation of a crypto asset without an issuer is the innovation. Bitcoin is one step beyond that, right? If you create a digital asset without an issuer, you've created a commodity, a digital commodity. But you haven't created digital money or a digital scarcity. If you want to create the perfect digital money, you don't just want a commodity, right? Remember stock to flow?
Yeah.
Right? So silver is a commodity that makes bad money. Bales of tobacco and seashells and glass beads are commodities that make crappy money. Gold is a commodity that makes better money because it's got a higher stock to flow ratio. Right? Bitcoin is a commodity that makes the best money because the stock to flow ratio is infinite. In essence, it's 21 million. We know where it ends. It's completely capped, completely scarce. Dogecoin may or may not be a digital commodity. I'm not sure because I'd have to determine whether or not it was ethically launched and whether or not it was truly decentralized and whether or not there's anyone that has true influence over it. I can honestly say I haven't studied it enough to know whether it is or isn't.
Neither have I.
But let's say hypothetically you forked some Bitcoin code, but then you changed some of the code to remove the halvings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you would have a digital asset that you might be able to argue is a commodity. If you forked it, gave it to the world, disappeared, and it ran like Bitcoin, but without the halvings, then it would simply continue to inflate at whatever 3-4% a year, X% a year, forever. I do agree with the idea, and I think that ultimately it's anchored in the laws of thermodynamics. The whole premise that is required for the universe to function is conservation of energy. You know, first you have to have the existence of energy, and then you have to have the conservation of energy. And in the Bible, the first thing we remember is God says, "Let there be light." Right? So everything starts with the deity pointing out that in the absence of light, which is energy, there is no life. darkness is the absence of energy. So energy is fundamental, but conservation of energy is what makes the universe rational. It's what makes it work. And I think Jeff Booth is pointing out that, right? That the idea of scarcity of money is the same as saying, if money is conservative, then everything else will be conservative. And if money is non-conservative, the world goes insane. And I think the examples there that kind of pop up are a commodity without energy is a coupon, right? If I have a dozen eggs and I take the eggs away and I replace it with a sheet of paper or a text message, and I send you a text message saying, this is good for a dozen eggs. Now I've created a coupon, but I don't have a commodity anymore. Now the problem is you might forward the text message to 1 million of your friends, and now you have 1 million text messages that are all coupons, but you don't have the eggs that equal the coupons, right? And so that's an example of non-conservative money, right? Money without energy is credit. Commodities without energy are coupons. In cyberspace, an object without energy is an image. If you have an object and it has no energy, it's like Plato's shadow. A person without energy is a ghost. When you make a comment and there's no energy to back it, it lacks credibility. And if you have a cyber persona and there's no energy that backs it, again, you lack credibility. So the energy itself is what creates cost to a copy. Yeah, a Bitcoin miner, it's a machine to create security in cyberspace, right? That's what it is. You have to see it as a transmitter of encrypted energy. It creates a wall of encrypted energy, right? You're feeding electricity into one end, and out the other end comes a hash wall, and then you're building
like a bank vault, but virtual, right?
Yeah, that's probably an energy vault. You're putting electricity in, and you're creating a vault of encrypted energy, and that's what you're using to build as your foundation to build civilization in cyberspace. I guess, and a lot of people can't figure it out. They can't work it out. But you ever cross a bridge and you look down at the caissons or the structures the bridges are built on, and the bridge is resting on these, what are they, caissons, I suppose, resting on these structures, and they're buried 30 feet down into the East River or the Hudson River. And the average person can't figure out how to create that bridge. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that the bridge doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right. And in this particular case, I see the Bitcoin miners as the foundation to hold up the entire digital ecosystem. And we're feeding them electricity, and then we're running them through an ASIC, and the ASICs just keep getting more and more efficient. I think that it's pretty clear that environmentally, it's the most efficient use of electricity to create value that the human race has come up with. And so on the energy side or the environmental side, it seems to me pretty obviously clean and useful. If you look at the other two, the S and the G, from a societal point of view, you're giving economic empowerment to 8 billion people, digital money to the human race. So it's obviously good for the society. You're banking everybody. And then from a governance point of view, it's a digital asset or a digital network without an issuer.
Yeah.
So corporate governance or governance normally is all about fair governance. And this phrase popped up because there were companies that were thought to be poorly governed, maybe for the benefit of the family or for the benefit of the community to the detriment of the shareholders, etc. Bitcoin is literally without a CEO, without a board of directors. It is the most fairly governed thing in the universe. It's more fair than any country, any city, any state, any company. So in terms of ESG, it definitely checks all three boxes. In fact, it hits home runs out of the park on all three. Yeah. I'd probably just make one more point here, which is, look, if you're concerned about ESG, right, you really ask the question, what is a universal entitlement to the human race? Like the most ESG friendly stuff is clean water, power, bandwidth, like internet access, steel, functioning materials, transportation, and just pure energy, food. So these are things that life is based on.
So, what are your thoughts about Bitcoin mining and energy consumption? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.